today, the 9 P's to work online. Now, many of you might well have heard of the 7 P's of marketing. And if you've done any formal business training, for instance, an MBA like I've done, you'll know that there's business basics that everybody who wants to work for themselves in a business really needs to understand. And one of those is linked to this 7 P's of marketing, which I've now turned into my 9 P's for working online, because there are a couple of different things that we need to have to make sure that we're doing it right, basically. So hello, my name is Susanna Reay, and I'm a mentor for introverted female entrepreneurs who are really wanting to get their passion business out there. So welcome. I see I have a few people here watching with me. So today I am going to go through these 9 P's one at a time. I hope it won't take too long. I've just double checked. I see that I am streaming live. Hello, Elma. Hello, Dana Gita. I've got, when I'm looking down here, I am just checking to see that everything's going great. So without further ado, I'll crack on. And if you've got any questions, do feel free to type them as I'm talking, but I'll come to your questions at the end. So if you're watching on replay, this will give you a nice succinct 1 to 9. What are these 9 P's to work online? So let's crack on with it. Now, before I go, I will just say I've also got my handy notebook, and this is something that I always make my notes in, and as you can see here is I don't actually like working online, and that's something I'll come to at a different time. My brain works in a slightly different way. So it's really important for you to make notes as we go along, because if you really want to ingest and take on board information, I highly suggest you have a pen and paper handy as I go through these 9 P's so you don't forget them. So number 1, let me just clear that background. There we go. So number 1 is people. So for working online, you really want to make sure that you have the right people around you, and that you also have those who are also doing something similar to you, like a small mastermind group, or connecting, someone where you can throw out and really get those ideas that you're not too sure of. Have a small group where you really get to know each other's businesses and you can think about that and bring it around. So one aspect of people is about the support that you need, because that is really, really key to working online. Many of us, particularly as introverts, we like our alone time. We want to be completely in control. You don't really want to delegate too much, though delegation as you grow will have to come about. But it's still important to have that network of people around you who are right. So like in any business, you want to make sure you've got an accountant that gets you. You want to make sure if you're moving into needing help with sales or communities, that they understand your ethos and where you're coming around with. So this people is actually really about your support community. Yes, with an online business, people are also involved in terms of your clients and your prospects. But to be really strong online, make sure you've got that support community ahead. So now I will move on to number 2, which is purpose. Now this is your base passion, your mission. Why? What is your big why in terms of what you're doing? And the reason why, you will have heard this spoken about, I'm guessing, by many coaches, because as introverts, we listen, we consume to a lot of information, and you go, why are they harping on about this? Why do I have to have a big why? And I hear you. I was like that as well. I was like, I don't have a big why. Why, what do I want to do? Why am I doing this? What is my vision? Because actually, to begin with, I was just like, well, I know I can help people with this. But the reason behind having and being able to define a bigger why, a bigger dream, a bigger vision, it really helps you get past those low moments. And trust me when I say this, there will be low moments on your entrepreneurial journey. It is tough. It's one of the reasons where that statistic that used to be talking about offline, bricks and mortar businesses, saying between 1 and 3 years, something like 90% of new startups fail. But fail to me is the wrong term. It's actually the people got frustrated or they gave up and they didn't have the persistence, the tenacity, the consistency to really find their solutions. So a lot of the ideas that people have are very good. But where they fall down is how to get that idea and their message out of their own little shell and out there into the world. And knowing your purpose can give you that extra lift on those down days when you're going, why am I doing this? And knowing that can help you move forward and drive on further. Hi Eleanor, hi Mona. Oh, I'm glad Mona's here. That's great. She was thinking her internet might be going down in Kashmir. So that is wonderful. Number 3 is perspective. So this is the lens that you see through into your own world. And it's really important to remember online that we tend to be much in our own bubbles. So the way the algorithms and everything work is you tend to see what you already have an affinity towards. So if you suddenly find yourself, say that you've decided, right, I'm going to go and help people, let me think of something like in the health industry. I know I'm going to be a health coach for new mums because that's really important and I haven't seen much of that. The moment you start talking about that online, suddenly all the algorithms will pick up those keywords that you're using and you'll get bombarded. And I do mean bombarded by other ads that come into your newsfeed of people offering something similar. And this is the point where it's really, really important as an introvert is don't take that on board with going, that means I can't do that. Everyone's doing that. Because the reality of it is you're seeing it because you're talking about it. But there is still a huge need for you doing what you want to do. And it's important to stay focused. And this is where your mission comes in as to why are you doing this? How do you want to get out there? Because there's enough people in the world for us all to gather and pull to us those people who really could do with what we are offering. So don't get too worried about when you see lots of ads and then your news feed or something going, oh my God, everyone's doing this. So the moment, say if you're a more intuitive coach or you're working on the spiritual side of things, the moment you start using the words spiritual, intuitive, the algorithms will pick it up and then suddenly your perspective has changed because you're seeing a lot more of that. So that's really important when you're working online is to realize about this bubble that the social networks are then putting you in. There are ways that you can sort of step outside of this bubble more, but that's too in depth to go into in this live. So yeah, really think, again, I'm just referring to my notes here, it's about your place in your competitive market. What's the niche that you want to take on board and who do you want to talk to? And make sure that the lens that you're seeing through is right, and that is perspective. So number 4 is power. And power, now this is about your confidence and confidence building. So it's understanding your strengths and your weaknesses so you can really harness your energy. And now I've spoken about this in terms of introverts. We know your superpowers. they're listening, they're being empathetic, they're understanding, it's taking on new information quickly. But there's a flip side to that as well, and that can be going into overwhelm, not knowing what to do exactly next, because ultimately you're like, there's so many options. What should I do? So you've got to start to own your power and really see that your power and your confidence, but also where are your boundaries and your limits? Where would you say no? Because it's so tempting at the start with working online, just say, I'm going to work with anyone who says they want to work with me because I need the money, I need the income. But it's really important to think about yourself and set those limits and boundaries in place, because from your first actions online and showing how available you are, how you wish to help, that is when your first followers will be coming and listening to you. So you want to set up really strongly as yourself in your own power. So yeah, my keynote there was to hold strong in your identity, which again links back to point 3 and the perspective. Be strong in the knowledge that what you have to give is powerful. You do have a lot of knowledge and you are enough, and you can definitely get your message out there. Right, number 5, into planning. I can see there's lots of comments going through. I will go through and read those at the end. So 5, planning. I know a lot of you hate this. A lot of introverts are also super creative, and we like shooting from the hip, waiting for inspiration to come. But in business, you also need to plan, and it doesn't have to be planning every minute of your day, but you do need to plan in terms of knowing what are your products, when are you going to get them out there, how are you going to gather people towards you, how are you going to get the message out there. There needs to be an outline plan and vision in your business, because just going from day to day is actually a recipe for failure. Those who are successful in business do plan, they follow a structure, and they really get out there. And that is one of the biggest things I see myself helping with my clients, is giving them what's the next best step to do to increase their business and build people towards them. Because you need to work out and focus, really think about what you need to do. And in here, we're talking about your SMART goals. Hopefully, those of you listening, you know what your SMART goals are. And they are, I will give you a quick summary. S is specific. The goals, they need to be really well defined. They need to be measurable. How can you measure whether you're having success? Now, this doesn't have to be money-based. It could be numbers of clients. It could be numbers of followers. If you're saying that my goal for the next 90 days, and I highly advise 90 days is a great planning period. That's 3 months. It gives you an attainable goal to work towards. So you can measure from the beginning to the end. How many followers did you have at the start? How many do you have at the end? Then you can look and see, well, how often did I post? Did that posting get a lot of feedback? Which were my most popular posts? So at the end, you also look back. So it's got to be attainable as well. That's the A in SMART, attainable action, and relevant. It has to be relevant to your business and to your core message. How do you help people? What is the product you're putting out there? You want to make sure that everything you're doing is actually helping support your end goal. And the T is timely. It has to be relevant for the right point where you are at in your business. So that is number 5, and planning on my whistle-stop tour of the 9 Ps to work online. Packaging. And I'm guessing that you're going, yeah, well, I get that with products. Packaging, I can see that. That's the box that something goes in. So when I'm selling packaging, yes, that has to look nice. When you work online, your packaging is your brand, it's your website. Your website is your package. Your Facebook page is your package. It's showing who you are on the outside before people get in and experience you. So packaging is still super important when you're working online. So you want to make sure that your business model captures your unique blend of all the previous points, which was people, purpose, perspective, power and planning. And that all comes together in the way you package your offer and you talk about it and you get it out to your people. Which leads us naturally to number 7, which is promotion. Again, no business is successful without some promotion, without marketing. I know many people go, oh, marketing, sales, like, why do I have to do this? Well, if you want to earn an income, you have to talk about what you're doing. But the good news is online, there are multiple ways that we can do this. And there are different ways that you can get your word out. It doesn't have to be in a really loud and shouty way. You can reach your audience in different ways, not only with videos, we have blogs, we have vlogs, you have YouTube, you have podcasting. There are all sorts of other ways as well in terms of guest posts or going into Facebook communities and groups. There are lots and lots of ways that you can show up and help talk about what your business, what your product, what your service helps others with. And so that is really important. Again, just checking my notes. So you want to call attention to what you want to do, but also remember you want to set those boundaries and still honor them as an introvert in business. You want to make sure that the promotion is where you feel comfortable with and that you're setting your level of how much you talk about, whether it's the sales, the price or the promotion. It's got to fit with yourself, but always take that little step slightly out of your comfort zone, because I know one of the introvert tendencies, I know I had it, was like, oh, I don't want to irritate people. I don't want to talk about it. They're not going to come listen to me and I'll be disappearing into the background, because that doesn't work in business. The brands, whether it's out on the high street or whether it's online, the ones you think about, the ones who get the business, are the ones that people are aware of. So that needs the promotion. So number 8, profit. It's not a business if you're not gaining profit. So you must think about how are you going to get the income, and also make sure your prices actually give you a profit. All too often I see that people, they just pluck numbers out of nowhere and then think, yeah, but I'm not really earning anything, because by the time I've paid for all these subscriptions, the software, etc., people aren't taking into account the true costs of running a business. And it's really easy for all these software tools, implementations, where it might be $49 here, $197 there. When you're building and you're setting up, yes, there are investment costs. But when it comes to your product, you must set the price of the product at a point where you are happy and comfortable and get that little sort of squeal of delight when someone buys it. The worst thing would be that you put out something and then you think, well, yeah, people are buying it, but I'm like at a loss the whole time. So you must make sure that your prices are right and you're gaining the profit. Okay, we are down to number 9, which is processes. Again, this one for working online, processes are my, what would I say? They're like the magic behind everything that saves me a lot of energy. Once you have some processes in place, which is like auto scheduling of posts, it's knowing that, say, for instance, I'm doing this live, what do I do after? So for me, a process that happens online is I come live on my page. I then send it to a transcription service, so I get my words written, which I can then convert into a blog. I upload this video into my video service holder, Vimeo, And then with that, I share it within my Golden Visibility library, which is available to my members of that membership library. So I have a whole process that is linked to coming live on a Wednesday that then follows and feeds contents in lots of different ways. And processes when you're working online, and actually write them down. What do you need to do in what sequence can really, really help you. So that was, if we just go back in order, we went through processes, profit, promotion, packaging, planning, power, perspective, purpose, and people to get our 9 P's to work online. So what I will now do is I will just go in and look at your comments. So it's so lovely to see everyone here. So yeah, Danagita was saying, I'm starting at the top here. Elma and Danagita was saying, what if the why is real and passionate but nobody gets it? If nobody gets your passion and it is real and passionate, you have a problem with your messaging, with your clarity of how you say things. So you need to get help for working with others and putting out and testing and actually seeing what it is that your message is, because there will be a way of saying it, but you're still looking for the words, and that's why no one's getting it, because they're your words, but you need to use other people's words so they understand it. So yeah, you really need to, messaging is so key in terms of how you get your message out and how you talk about it, and trying to avoid the jargon. We get really, hold my hands up here, I do this at times as well. It's really hard not to. We get caught up in the jargon of our expertise because it's so natural to us. We don't get that other people don't get it. So yeah, it's the messaging, and that's quite a core thing you need to work on. So let's see, Motors here, no, the word is so meaningful. Yes, setting boundaries. I feel that's when I was talking about that. It is really important. Danagita was saying, I cannot say that I like all you say, but I know you're right. Yes, it can be a bit scary going, oh my God, there's like all this stuff to do. And that's where I come in. I help you go through this one step at a time at a pace that's right for you. And it's really important when you want to take action, and if you're feeling overwhelmed, that's where, going back to point number 1, the people, your support network, who you build next to you, like a coach, employ a coach, whether it's myself, whether it's someone else. Find a coach who's right for you and can help you through this if you find you're in that paralysis of going, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Because if you take things one step at a time, you will, and you can get there. I absolutely promise you that. But seeing the big picture overall can be scary, and sometimes it's better to be led very gently by the hand in terms of what you need to do and when. And you've got to remember as well, building a business does take 3 years to establish. Businesses don't happen overnight. I was listening to an interview with Mary Folio last Friday, and she reminded me that she's now 19 years into a business. She set up her Mary TV channel 10 years ago with her very successful B School program. That was 10 years old now. But before that point, the 9 years before, she was attending loads of things. She was showing up. She was being really consistent. She was also working as a cleaner and doing all sorts of things to support until she got to the point when it actually hit off and it all came together. And that's kind of, you know, it's like when you hear about the pop stars getting success, they say, yeah, but what you don't see is the 10 years of working the clubs and the bars behind the point when they suddenly get successful. there's always a lot of work in building and developing a business before you really see significant income. You can get income along the way that just about supports you, but if you want to get significant income, it does take persistence. Elma, oh, thank you, saying you're very inspiring. So, and Elma, structure does not mean you have to get up super early. It's building your structure that works for you. That is what's so important. And one of the things I love about working online is, yes, I can put some hours deep into the wee hours of the morning if I need to. So you work at your time schedule. So Dana Gita came in with promotion, especially in Facebook. If I don't comment on others' posts, they will not see me and my posts again. And yes, it's true, you need to be active in Facebook. It is a rolling, Facebook wants you to be in there and active. So you can't sit back too much if you want Facebook to be a means of promotion. There's other ways of promoting yourself. There's other ways of getting out there as well. It's not the only way, but it is a very good way right now to promote yourself. And as you say, profits, and Mota was saying investments are huge. I'm writing down now everything and it's horrible, so pay for my paintings, please. Exactly. I'm really, really pleased to hear, Mota, that you're actually writing everything down. And that's one of the things. It's really important to see where are you investing, and then also reevaluating those tools, because some of these tools that we use, they might have monthly fees rather than being a one-off. So each month you can reevaluate and say, am I using this tool to the best advantage? Is it actually right for my business? Because at the point when you purchased it, you might have gone, well, that sounds good. But then in reality, if you're not using it, stop the subscription, stop the expense. You can always come back to it. You can always give the money again in all these companies. But if you're not using a tool fully and money is small at the moment, I highly suggest that you really look into where you've invested, because there's so many free tools that probably give you more than enough that you need right now to get going, and you don't need to put a huge investment in. As you grow and your business grows, then you'll want more advanced tools. But I really don't like when I hear coaches say, oh yes, do ActiveCampaign or Introvert. I much prefer that over MailChimp. And I'm like going, well, for most people, MailChimp's free service in terms of their content management system and emails is more than enough. You don't need the complexity until you've got thousands and thousands of subscribers. And you can always move your subscribers from one system to the other, because that's what they want you to do. So you don't have to do some of these things that are super complex up front. So Elma's saying she loves processes. Excellent. So get the right processes in place for you. And thank you for the talk. It's a pleasure, Elma. And I say this will go into my Golden Visibility Library for easy reference. So you can always come back to my business page to watch it too. And Dana Gita, in fact, yes, Dana Gita works very closely with me, and it is about leading gently and firmly by the hand. Thank you for saying that. And Annetta, you've joined as well. So thank you all for joining. If you're watching on replay and have any questions, do post them down in the comments. I will circle back round and make sure the comments are there. In the meantime, if you'd like, I've got, let me get rid of Susanna Reay, there we go. Do come across and join my Visibility for Female Entrepreneurs group. In March, I'm going to have a focus in the group of how you can feel a bit more comfortable in terms of using video, and that's not just about going live. I'm going to just take it back a notch and help people, like how do you go through and some of the setup. So we're having a bit of a mini focus on video in March, because one of my business buddies, going back to point number one, people, is that you need to surround yourself by those who can build and support you. and also at a very similar place in business with you. So you're wanting to go to the same places and stretching yourself out of your comfort zone in the same way and supporting each other. So I'd love to see you across in Visibility for Female Entrepreneurs, where the conversation can continue a lot more as well. Lots of great women in there who really get you and understand you. So 9 P's to work online. I'm very quickly just going to go through them one last time before I sign off. We had people. Oh, what am I doing? La 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 la. You see, it all goes well to the very end. We had people. We had purpose. We had perspective, power, planning, packaging, promotion, profit, and processes. So with that, I'll get on with my processes for the day, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.